Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Sudanandana Braja Jana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Gopijana Vallabha Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Hare Krishna and welcome To all the devotees on the line, thank you very much for your kind association and presence and interest in hearing about the obstacles on the path of devotional service that we're going to cover from Madhurya Kadambini by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. We've been going over systematically all the different chapters, and today we're going to cover Anartha Nivriti. Let us do the invocation. Om Jnanatmi Vandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Thapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sahagana Rakunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvetam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vevacha Patitanam Pavinebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Swamiti Name Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesa Sunyavadi Pastatadi Satarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Let us cover if anyone has any feedback, questions, clarification from yesterday's session. Emma Bhatti Radhika says, we're looking for external solutions, but the real problem is internal. And we also mentioned it's not that the external variables cannot help improve our devotional service, but that should not be the only focus. The internal purification and changes impacts the external more than the other way around. Be like a child. When you fall down, get up and continue enthusiastically. Pride comes before the fall. Pride is not for ourselves, it is for Hari, Guru, Vaishnav, and Bhagavad Gita. Sadhu Sangha, with like-minded advanced devotees, can overcome steady devotional service. Panchanga Bhakti from Chaitanya Charitamrita, all 5 in the morning program arranged by Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for that feedback. So, question, the distance that this person needs to walk to reach the ultimate goal, which is Krishna. Hypothetically, let's assume it is 100 steps. So 100 of these steps to reach Krishna. My question is, how many steps will it take to reach the destination, which is Krishna? Please let me know in the chat. How many steps will it take to reach the destination, which is Krishna? If the distance, everything is, in terms of if we're just looking at like steps at a time, it takes 100 steps to reach the goal. Any suggestions? If you take 1 step to Krishna, he takes 10. Okay, so then it's 10 steps. All right, good. Any others? Shyamananda says 100 steps. It should take 100 steps, but each step might have stumbling blocks. More than 100 steps? Any more? So if you're not responding on the chat, I hope you are thinking about it. And you have already an answer in your consciousness. Shama, right. So Radhika says more than 100. Vimi says many lifetimes. Shama Guranga says every step one can take in an entire life. More than 100, as there will be deviations and distractions. Shamananda says maybe few steps cause of Srila Prabhupada's mercy. And Lokotra says just one step towards it's or Hare Krishna. You can rename your name, Shushila. So chant our rounds, begging for devotional service. Bhaktin Colleen says it all depends on the quality of the terrain, rough or smooth. Right. So, as Hemavati said, it's true. If you take one step towards Krishna, he takes 10. So in that sense, the distance does come closer. At the same time, what if our friend who's walking towards Krishna takes one step forward, 2 steps back? 1 step forward, 3 steps back. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. 2 steps forward, 4 steps back. It's going to take him a long time to reach Krishna, even though the distance is 100 steps. And even if Krishna comes closer to him, if he keeps going back, because nobody said he can't step back. If he does not keep stepping forward, he may never reach Krishna. What is the stepping back? Just like Prabhupada gave the example, you want to light fire. So you pour fuel with one hand and water with the other. If you practice devotional service, you are moving forward. If you engage in desires which are contrary or displeasing Krishna, you engage in activities that are displeasing Krishna, that are against devotional service, that waters the weeds and the obstacles, then you are going back. And sometimes we ask ourselves, why am I not going forward? Because you're taking steps back. So we need to always analyze, am I taking steps forward? So yesterday we covered 6 different stages of unsteady bhajana kriya, anishtita bhajana kriya, where one starts with inflated enthusiasm, excited, think he can conquer the world, he can achieve Krishna in 1 step. In fact, he's already achieved back to Godhead, he's a pure devotee. Then the reality strikes, and he finds one day he's enthusiastic, next day he's not so enthusiastic. After some time, he's very enthusiastic, after some time, he's not enthusiastic. And then as he's gaining more and more steady enthusiasm, now at different crossroads, he has a lot of indecision. Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I become celibate? Should I get married? Should I have children? Should I not have children? Should I look after my parents? Should I go to Vrindavan? So many decisions. And then after he crosses that road, he struggles with his senses and mind. And when he crosses that road, then inability to follow vows. And then when he crosses that road and he is now getting more and more steady, he gets many opportunities, fame, glory, name, wealth coming through the process of devotional service, and he becomes caught and trapped by that riding the waves. So we need to be able to and not have false confidence. We need to be steady in our enthusiasm, gradually increasing our enthusiasm. We should be decisive by getting guidance from Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. We should be able to direct our senses and mind according to our desires, in line with Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. We should maintain our vows, and we should understand that everything that is coming to us through the process of devotional service is not credited to my skills and ability and intelligence, but actually by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, spiritual master, the Vaishnavas, Krishna, and the holy name. And throughout this journey, the key is purity is the force. Purity is the force. So now we're going to come into the next aspect, third shower of nectar, which is anartha nivritti, clearing material impurities. So we looked at Shraddha, we looked at Sadhu Sangha, we looked at Bhajana Kriya, and now anartha nivritti. And this stage of anartha nivritti, Bhajana Kriya, anartha nivritti, Bhajana Kriya, because as we engage in devotional service, we get purified. So this is a cyclic process. You cannot stop devotional service throughout this journey. And while you are engaging in the 9 processes of devotional service, or other limbs of devotional service, or chanting the holy names of Krishna, the purification process predominantly is a long journey, because there are many obstacles that we have acquired over lifetimes of being in this material existence. So this journey, we should be prepared to be patient. It's going to take a while. Yes, we have mercy and it can expedite, but be prepared to wait. Have realistic expectation. Not like I'm chanting 16 rounds for 5 years and now I should be a pure devotee. Prabhupada said it took him at least 40 years to master chanting Hare Krishna. So it's not going to come easy. After anartha nivritti, when one comes to nishta, then really this, even though it's uphill, we could show it downhill, because then it's quick. So what is anartha? Artha means something that has value, like a goal, something wanted or desirable, like wealth. But anartha means something that have no value, obstacles to the goal, unwanted things, unwanted material desires. This is anartha. And anartha nivritti means getting rid of unwanted desires from the heart. These anarthas, they create obstacles on the path of devotional service. So they need to be purified. Anartha nivritti are stumbling blocks on the path of bhakti. We know, for example, Krishna says, an uncontrolled mind is the biggest obstacle between you and Krishna. So an uncontrolled mind is an anartha. Like that, there are many anarthas. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur writes and shares the power of devotion and the effect of anarthas. Pure devotional service rendered to the Supreme Lord consists of hearing, chanting, meditating, accepting it with faith, or praising others who perform it. Immediately purifies even those who are envious of the Lord and the universe. So the power of devotional service cannot be underestimated. Bhakti is so powerful, it even attracts Krishna. No anartha can stand the purifying effect of the process of devotional service. Anything that opposes and creates obstacle to the Paramartha, the supreme spiritual attainment, is called anartha. Narottam Das Thakur sings, "My greatest fear is that the obstacles to my devotional practice will not go away." Now, we just said that devotional service is so powerful that it can purify any anartha. We should never, ever think that I'm so sinful, I'll never get purified by engaging in devotional service. I had one devotee friend who had this mentality that I'm the most fallen. I'm so fallen, nothing can purify me. Even devotional service cannot purify me. So that meant he was even more powerful than devotional service. And the personification of devotional service is Radhavani. So he's saying, I'm more powerful than Radhavani. It's a very dangerous mentality. Because if that is your mentality, if you think that that's the way you are, that's the way you are. Because that shows lack of faith, lack of understanding. So we have to be very careful of that obstacle. At the same time, we need to have a healthy fear of obstacles. As Narottam Das Thakur is saying, my greatest fear is that the obstacles to my devotional practice will not go away, and we will discuss why that may be the case in our case. So the opinions of other acharyas, how to overcome avidya, which is one of the anarthas, ignorance, the holy name, characters, pastimes, and activities of Krishna, all transcendently sweet like sugar candy, although the tongue of one afflicted with jaundice of avidya, ignorance, cannot taste anything sweet. It is wonderful that simply by carefully chanting with due respect, you'll see in the Sanskrit, the obstacle is avidya. And the avidya is causing you to not have taste for the processes of devotional service. And what is causing that, or what can overcome that? Carefully chanting with due respect. Adarad anudinam. Adarad means carefully, respectfully, attentively. These sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within his tongue, and his disease gradually destroys at the root. So the key here is respectfully, attentively, carefully. Prabhupada would say nicely. Then other acharyas have also shared the root cause of aparad. All varieties of aparads consist of anadara. The root cause of aparadas is anadara. And anadara means disrespect. And anadara leads to aparad. When you disrespect the process of devotional service, especially the holy name, then the mercy of Srimati Radhavani is driven away from you. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, "O merciful Bhagavan, my misfortune is that I did not develop adara towards Krishna's name. My misfortune led me to these 10 aparadas. How will these nama aparadas be vanquished?" So again, disrespect, not careful, inattention. Therefore, every intelligent soul must avoid committing aparadas in relation to Bhagavan's Naam, which is the sole benefactor and the exclusive object of service for the entire world. Now, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur also describes 4 types of misfortune or anarthas, obstacles on the path of bhakti. And these obstacles are also developed one after another. So the first obstacle is tattva vibhrama. Tattva means philosophical understanding, and vibhrama means misconception. So philosophical misconception of the truth based on illusion. Tattva vibhrama. We are illusioned about the truths that are there. And what are the truths that exist? There's 4 main categories of truths that we become illusioned with. One is Swa Tattva Brahma, the illusion regarding one's identity. I think I am this body. Well, with that misunderstanding, if that is your truth, then everything you do from that platform of so-called truth is going to be misleading. You're going to be striving all your life, working, endeavoring, doing all actions and activities, relationships, so many things, all based on the false identity of yourself. Dangerous. Prabhupada gives the example of somebody going to the bank and every day diligently or every week diligently depositing money for years and years. After he gets his salary, he's working, he's coming, he's saving, and he's doing this for 50 years. And then after retirement, he goes to the bank and he says, "Can I please draw all my retirement funds because I want to enjoy now?" And then he gives the bank account. And the person says, "I'm sorry, sir, but this does not seem like your bank account. You've been depositing your money in the wrong bank account." That's exactly what we do when we have the wrong identity. Then, Paratattva Brahma, illusion regarding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. People have weird conceptions of God. I am God, you God, everyone's God. My dog is even God. One so-called saintly person, when we asked him the question, he said, even the microphone is God. You get all these crazy people. They're totally illusioned and they don't have no clue of who God is. If you have no clue of who God is and you have no clue of who you are, what you're going to practice? Then Sadhya Sadhana Brahma is going to come. Illusion regarding the process of Prema Bhakti and Sadhana Bhakti. If the first 2 is wrong, well, you're getting this one wrong. And you're thinking, no, I am doing the right process. Or sometimes people just are so attached to rituals. We find in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna describes the different types of rituals. The rituals that give pain to the body and mind are in ignorance. The rituals that breed desires are in passion. The rituals that lead to heavenly planets is in a mode of goodness. So people become attached to these things. And then Virodhi Vishaya Brahma, illusion regarding subjects unfavorable to Krishna consciousness. We cannot distinguish. We don't know what's good and bad for our progress in spiritual life. Therefore, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur is painstakingly giving us these details so that we know if we're serious about the destination, if we're serious about our relation with Krishna, we will take heed of these instructions. So we need to know exactly. Sometimes in terms of the last one, Virodha Vishaya Brahma, Bhakti Pratikul Vastu Tattva Brahma. We don't know what is favorable for devotional service. Now we engage in something and we say, yeah, it's okay. No problem. Then we wondering why I'm not making advancement. So we need to be very clear in terms of I'm the servant of Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Radha and Krishna are the absolute truth. The process of devotional service, especially the ninefold process of bhakti, and primarily of all of them chanting the holy names of Krishna, is the best means of sadhana. And we can take advice from Sri Rupa Goswami from Nectar of Instruction on the do's and don'ts. Those things that are favorable for bhakti and those things that are unfavorable for bhakti. In this way, our foundation of tattva is solid. Otherwise, it's going to be an obstacle. Then the next obstacle that springs from tattva vibhrama, because if you have all these wrong understandings and truths, your focus, your objective, your desires is all going to be on a false platform, illusory platform. So the next one is asat trishna, thirst for the temporary. And basically it's going to be bhukti, mukti, and siddhi. Bhukti means enjoyment. There's worldly enjoyment, family, wealth, luxury. Heavenly enjoyment in the form of birth in heavenly paradise after death. Then you got mystic powers, supernatural powers. People want mystic powers. That's why they do yoga and kundali, all these different aspects. And then people want mukti. They want liberation, merging with the impersonal. So these are witches which come from false misunderstanding of the truth. Then these also lead to offenses, aparad. They lead to aparad. And you got different categories of aparad. Namaparad, offense against the holy name. Seva aparad, offenses made during worship, service and worship. Vaishnava aparad, offenses against Vaishnava. Dhamma aparad, offenses against the holy Dham. And Jiva aparad, offenses against other souls. So we should understand what are these aparads in relation to the holy name, in relation to service, in relation to the Vaishnavas, in relation to the holy Dham, in relation to the living entities. Because if I don't know them, I will possibly fall prey to any one of them. And then I'm wondering why I'm not making advancement. Raja says, why is mukti a thirst for temporary? Because the Vaishnavas, they say mukti is not a desired destination, especially impersonal liberation. Yes, it's good that you want to become free from the suffering of material existence and birth and death. But when you merge into the Brahman effulgence, there is no service. And because there is no service, you become unsteady. You become disturbed. And when you become disturbed, you fall down again. So that form of liberation is not permanent and really not desired, because the living entity is meant to be Jiva Swarupa Krishna Nitya Das, not Jiva Swarupa Brahma Jyoti Das. No, Krishna Das. So as long as one gets some sort of liberation, impersonal liberation, mukti, that is even trying to enjoy, I want to be free from suffering, it's still selfish. So it is still a desire, material, even a material, subtle desire. We will cover tomorrow, next week. We will cover examples of all of these emantis. So Jiva Aparad means for example, disrespecting other living entities. So you can harm other living entities, envy of other living entities. For example, a classic aparad in Christianity, Bible says men have been given dominion over animals. So what they do? Oh, we're given dominion over animals, we can eat them. Aparad. Offense. Then these will then lead to Ridda Dorbalyam, weakness of heart. Tucha Ashakti, attachment to things unrelated to Krishna and his service. Kutinati, duplicity, deceitfulness, and fault finding. Matsarya, envy, coveting the good fortune of others. And Pratishtasha, desire for name and fame. So, if we see this, we can understand that it's arising from these other aspects. And these all are different obstacles that stop us. If you want pure love for Krishna, unfortunately, the truth is all these anarthas will have to be cleansed. If we want Krishna, Krishna will never appear in our hearts. He will never appear on the altar of our hearts. That is dirty, that is impure, that has anarthas, that has a parad. It needs to be completely free. It needs to be Vrindavan. Your heart needs to be transformed into Vrindavan. When Krishna is the center and nothing else. So, therefore, this stage of cleansing our heart or removing the weeds that becomes a parasite to the bhakti creeper, we need to remove. So, solution for getting the proper truth, surrender and chastity to Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So we've covered that briefly in terms of the truth. In terms of thirst for the temporary, nectar of instruction, verse 2, Atyahara prayascha prajalpanyamagrama sangaj janasangascha lolyam cha sadbir bhaktir vinishyati. One's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities: eating more than necessary, collecting more than is required, over endeavoring for mundane things that are difficult to obtain, talking unnecessary about mundane subject matters, practicing the scriptural rules and regulations for the sake of following them, and not for the sake of advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of scripture and working independently, or whimsically associated worldly-minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness and being greedy for mundane achievements. And how to avoid aparad. A sober person can tolerate the urges to speak, the mind's demands and actions of anger and urges of tongue, belly, and genitals. Is qualified to make disciples all over the world. And Hirdado Balyam, offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting food, and offering foods are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another. These 6 kinds of association, when exchanged between devotees, increases one's devotion. But if the association is shared with non-devotees, one's devotion diminishes. So then Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur goes into describing 4 main categories of aparads. We will now explain anartha nivritti, or cessation of unwanted elements, those that are unfavorable to bhakti. Anarthas are 4 types. Those arising from sin, dushkritota. Those arising from past pious works, shukritota. That means even past previous pious activities can be an obstacle, can breed anarthas. And we'll cover examples next week as well. Those arising from offenses of various sorts, aparadota, and those arising from devotion itself, bhaktiuta. Anarthas arising from sin are equivalent to the 5 kleshas mentioned in the previous lessons. Anarthas arising from pious activities are of various kinds of sense enjoyments. And anarthas arising from offenses refer principally to namaparad, offenses to the holy name. There are also offenses incurred during the worship of the deity, known as seva aparad, but these do not play an important a role. However, if one is careless about these seva aparads, knowing that they are easily counteracted by chanting or reciting prayers, then they turn into namaparad. For it is said, committing sins on the strength of the holy name is one of the namaparads. In this verse, the holy name is taken as a synecdoche. It's a very interesting word, which means upalakshana, meaning that it stands in for all other devotional practices, which means the example here is given that if I commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name, that is an offense, namaparad. But it implies, this upalakshana means if I commit sinful activities on the strength of any devotional service, it is an offense. And this is the most dangerous of offenses we will speak about. Committing sins on the strength of any devotional practice is an offense. Even the Dharma Shastra states that sins become even more deeply entrenched if one purposefully commits sins thinking that he can counteract their evil effects by performing atonement. Yeah, it's okay, I'll just eat a chicken, no problem, and just chant Hare Krishna. Dangerous. So these are the 4 kinds of anarthas. Dushkritota, which is anarthas coming from past sinful activities. Shukritota, anarthas coming from pious deeds. Aparadota, anarthas coming from offenses. And bhaktiutash, anarthas coming from devotional service. So the first one, dushkritota anarthas, obstacle arising from prior sinful activities. These obstacles to devotional life arise out of sins committed in our past. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions the 5 kleshas earlier, and these are the anarthas that result from sinful activities. Living entities in this world have forgotten Krishna since time immemorial. Bound by ignorance and material desires, one is attached to bodily conception of life and false ego of I and mine. When these desires distract us from engaging in Shravana, Kirtanam, and other devotional activities, it is known as an anartha arising from past sinful activities. And the 5 kleshas that we discussed, avidya, ignorance, asmita, false ego, raga, attachment, dvesha, hatred, and abhinivesha, fear of death or absorption in raga and dvesha. So these also cause obstacles or narrators, meaning we don't have any desire to practice devotional service. Then Sukritota anartha, obstacle arising from prior pious activities. Desires for temporary pleasures or higher realms like heaven arises from prior pious activities are known as Sukritota anartha. Due to samskaras or for desires for sense enjoyment or liberation arise in the heart during devotional practice. Thus, one is not able to relish the taste of bhakti. Srila Rupa Goswami writes, how can the joy of devotion manifest within the heart as long as the witches of desire for sense enjoyment and liberation remain there? Then aparadata anartha, obstacles arising from offenses. Anartha arises out of offenses are generally the most difficult obstacles to advancement on the path of devotion. There's a great difference between sin, which is easily destroyed by the glimpse of devotion, bhajana abhasa, and spiritual offenses which cause havoc on the path of prema bhakti. So offenses within the process of devotional service is the most difficult, dangerous. Quote from Chaitanya Charitamrita, if one's heart does not change, tears do not flow from his eyes, his body does not shiver, and his bodily hairs do not stand on end as he chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it should be understood that his heart is as hard as iron. This is due to his offenses at the lotus feet of the Lord's holy name. Now, pure devotees may check the ecstasies. So again, we should be very careful to judge. But we can obviously know within ourselves. We know our narratives. We know our obstacles. Then bhaktyuta anartha arising from devotion itself. People are naturally attracted to those who make genuine progress in spiritual life. Thus, wealth, respect, fame, and other comforts naturally come to the devotees. These can prove to be heavy obstacles to the progress and ultimate attainment of prema. Devotees wishing to achieve real goal of bhakti should carefully guard against these material desires and stick closely to the path of humility and detachment. If devotional practitioner's heart is attracted to things like profit, adoration, distinction, then even though engaged in bhajan, he gets nothing but these anarthas. Sins are less serious than aparadhas. Sins are harmful activities like theft, adultery, murder, lying, etc. Motivated by desires in the heart, resulting from bodily consciousness. Acceptance of material body as the self is based upon an illusory conception of life, which stands in opposition to the reality of one's true spiritual existence. Therefore, sins of the flesh are much less serious for those who do not in fact touch the transcendental spirit soul. Their effect are manifest in the material body and mind. Aparadhas are much graver than sin, for their effect cover the spirit soul itself. The soul, so the Lord, his holy name, his devotees, his abode, his leelas, etc., are completely of a spiritual nature. And when we consider them material or disrespect, disdain, or ridicule them in any way, then we commit aparadha. Wicked action committed in relation to the non-self are thus known as sins, and those that affect the soul or true self are known as aparadha. So generally, when we talk of aparadha, it's ill intention that is there in the heart. It's not like I'm speaking to a devotee and I'm trying to, have a conversation and share with him, proper understanding or rectification of something, and he gets then, and there's no animosity in my heart and he gets upset. That is not aparadha. Aparadha means there has to be ill intention, malice, envy, jealousy. Now, if there's a Harinam party going on going out in the streets. And some bypasser who don't know about the devotees, if he throws eggs or water on the Harinam party, that is not Vaishnava Parad. That is sin, because he doesn't know what a devotee is. Aparad is generally in relation to other devotees, okay, not non-devotees, because they have no clue what a devotee is. So in their category is generally sin. Caution, cautious, shelter, and respect for Bhakti, Bhakta, and Bhagavan. The root rad means satisfaction, and the prefix upper adds the senses, add the sense of moving away. Acts that cause the dissatisfaction of the Lord, the holy name, the Guru, or the Vaishnavas are called aparadas. The main cause for attaining the Lord are devotion, the sadhus, and the Lord's mercy. Disrespect, faithlessness, negligence, blasphemy of bhakti, bhakta, and Bhagavan are the chief obstacles in attaining Prem. The best way to overcome such offenses is to exercise extreme caution in our dealings with them, to take shelter of them in full awareness of their true identity, and to show them full respect. By engaging in bhajan in this way, all offenses will be destroyed. Srila Prabhupada gives the example in a talk that if Krishna had to appear right now in front of you, what would you do? You would immediately get up, offer obeisances, offer sweet words, offer asan, offer arati, offer prayers, offer bhoga. If you just stand there, oh, Krishna, you came. Hare Krishna. That is being disrespectful. So like that, devotees, Vaishnavas, spiritual master, the holy name, Krishna, we need to respect them nicely for the pleasure of Krishna. So of all the offenses, to commit sins on the strength of the holy name, on the strength of devotional practices, is the most dangerous. We mentioned that the practice of devotional service will purify every form, every category, every type, every level of anartha, no matter how small, how big, how strong. No matter where you got that anartha, no matter how long you got that anartha, if you engage in the process nicely, it'll purify every single anartha, gross and subtle. But in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna talks about the stage of fall down. Dhyayata vishayam pumsa sangasteshu bhajayate. That when one thinks of sense gratification, then one develops attachment, feeling, one engages, and then one obviously glides down. So when one is engaging or contemplating on any sense engagement, positive or negative, and thinks that it's okay, I'll just chant the holy name, it'll counteract the sin. So any sinful activity that I'm contemplating and I add the holy name to it, or any devotional process, thinking, yeah, I'll just chant one more round. I'll just go around the temple one more time. I'll just offer a few more lamps. Then that is the seventh offense. And scripture says that with the seventh offense, committing sinful activity on the strength of the holy name, even if you go to hell, you'll not be able to get redeemed. So we have to be very, very, very careful of this offense. While we engage in devotional service, yes, We acknowledge we have obstacles, we have anarthas, we have weaknesses, we can slip. But I do not premeditate a sin and then think that I'll be able to eradicate it. So by chanting, so it's okay. No, it is not okay. Hope this is clear in terms of premeditated sins, where one is thinking of chanting the holy names or any devotional practice to redeem oneself. And that brings us to this, the end of this section of Anartha Nivritti, where we shared the different categories of anarthas. On Monday, we will be covering examples of the different types of categories. We won't go in because these can be separate causes when, for example, the 10 offenses to the holy name. Each offense can be a lesson on its own, but we will touch on some of them on a general way, just so that there's some understanding that these offenses are there. Anyone who gets initiated, they have to memorize these 10 offenses. They have to be wary of these 10 offenses. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions? Manti says, very enlightening class. Thank you, Boo. Thank you. Yes. Just so that we are aware these things are there. So that when an obstacle comes, or when these anarthas come and they face us, at least we can recognize this is an anartha. It's not me. It's an obstacle that has overcome my consciousness, that is blocking me. And I have the process, I have Krishna with me to overcome any obstacle. That faith I have to have. No obstacle can check my progress if I'm sincere and I'm open to the Lord coming to the rescue. So Naina says, Hare Krishna, thank you for the wonderful class. Very deep and thought-provoking. Much appreciated. Thank you. Rajesh, Hare Krishna. Marika says, very nice class. Thank you. Bhakti calling, nothing to do with Bhakti. But how is that baby calf was born at Gaushala recently? We gave her a name, Hamsi. Krishna's cow friend is called Hamsi. So I guess maybe on Monday, Mugun can share a video clip of Hamsi with us. Or if he's got, he can show it now as well. So Nirvana says, a devotee once told me that if I am at some place where the food contains garlic and onions, and if I chant over it, and then I eat it, will that be an aparad on the strength of the holy name? So here's the thing. Krishna does not accept onions and garlic. So, and there's different reasons for that. We won't go into that. Krishna only accepts those things which are authorized according to disciplic succession. Garlic and onions, they increase passion, even though they may be very good for medicinal purposes, but they increase passion, and they're also classified in the category of meat. So when you cannot offer, just like sometimes people, they go to the altar and they put a box of chocolates and they offer it to the Lord. Now there may be eggs in the, in the chocolate, etc. Krishna is not going to necessarily accept it. Yeah, he can purify, just like Prahlad Maharaj offered poison. Mirabai offered poison. And the Lord accepted that. And they honored that like prasad. So what did the Lord accept? He accepted the devotion with which they were offering. We may not have that level of devotion to offer poison. So yes, in that category, in this situation, we should know that if I'm honoring these things, I'm incurring a reaction, and I will have to atone for those reactions. I will have to suffer for the reactions. I can't just, there's no corners I can cut to say, anyway, meat. What's the difference between meat and an apple? I mean, really, the apple is made of earth, water, fire, and ether. And guess what the meat is made of? Even the 5 elements, earth, water, fire, and ether. So there's really no difference. Krishna can accept. See, this falls in the Tattva Brahma, Vibhrama, false philosophical truths, where we create types of philosophy. So regarding onions and garlic, I'll share that next week in terms of references. All right, so yeah, you can't chant Hare Krishna, unfortunately. Best, try to avoid it. And it requires preparation, requires awareness. Now, sometimes we may have something that we didn't know, unintentional. That's totally different. The Lord knows what you're thinking. He knows whether it was unintentional, it was by mistake, it was by accident, or whether it was strategized, planned. Nadira says, I'm awe of what I just learned. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Mukund says, thank you for this class, makes us more aware and self-conscious. Sure, Prabhu, will capture some pictures and videos over the next weekend and share Monday. Perfect. All right, thank you very much. Yes, and remember, this is a level 1 session on Madhurya Kadambini. When you go into level 2, now you know the overview. We cover the content, and then we go a little more deeper into sharing different verses. It goes a little more, let's say, scripturally, looking at other verses, looking at evidences, details, so that we really get it solid into our consciousness. And then we start also looking at analyzing or evaluating, using what we've learned and evaluating ourselves, so that we can then also use this as a way to progress. So at least it's there. It can start getting questions, thoughts starts going through our mind. We start thinking about it. That's what the level 1 is really meant to do. Thank you very much. We will meet again on Monday. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Go Pramanande Hari Hari Bo.